So when you do this pillar, you can actually take your finger and pull it back and then just slide the cable. Hey, it's Jason. Thanks for tuning in. I'm here with my 2023 Ford Maverick XL Hybrid. And I love this truck. You've probably seen me post a lot of videos about it recently because I purchased it a couple months ago. If you haven't seen them and you're looking at a Ford Maverick, watch the likes and dislikes video and maybe watch the process of when I purchased it. But today, I'm going to be talking about installing this Garmin Mini 2 Dashcam. All of the vehicles that I drive more as a daily driver, which this is what I take my son to school in every day, and this is what I do the projects in and go up to the building in. So I'm doing a lot more driving. I really like to have a camera just because nowadays people are a little nutty on the roads, texting and driving, walking out in front of you as they're texting. It just gives me a little peace of mind. This I bought at Best Buy, 129 bucks. I'm going to show you how I'm installing it, but the thing I want to focus in on is the install I'm doing. I'm not going to be hardwiring it in. I'm going to be using the cigarette light adapter. I'm going to do my best to hide the cables, but I'm not going to completely hide them in the interior roof or anything, or plastic trim, because on my Chevy Colorado I did that, and like a year later the camera had an issue and it was kind of a pain. The reason why I'm not hardwiring it into the fuse panel on the side, or maybe doing something different with the battery in the back, is because I do like the ability to be able to completely disconnect it and pull it when I want it completely disconnected for various different reasons. And more importantly, I'm a little hesitant, given this is a hybrid and all the electrics going on. I'm a little concerned if I hardwire it and there's an issue, given it's such a new vehicle, they might give me a hard time. Oh, Jason, you know, it's because of this. It's making a draw when the car is off or something like that. So if you're watching this video, so first I have the Garmin Dashcam Mini 2. It's a 1080p with a 140-degree lens. The reason why I went with the Mini 2 is because it is very small. I think it's only like that tall, and this windshield isn't that big like on the big SUVs, the Land Rover and whatnot. It's much bigger. I went with the ScanDisk Ultra 256 gigabyte micro SD card. I'm told this will work. This was $22 at Best Buy, so this is about $150 right here. This is just your typical plastic tool that you'd use for drywall work or something. It's a putty knife, but I find this sometimes lets me shove the cables up into the behind the windshield into the crevice there. I wish I had ones that were smaller than these. These are much bigger, but on the Colorado, I had to put one of these on the windshield to hold the wire. And the reason why I did that, because I found this on my Land Rover as well, that in extreme heat, the camera would fall. And if I didn't have it really secure, the wire would kind of untuck. So I'm doing that. And this is where, if you're very concerned about aesthetics, you might not want to do this. I'm a little less concerned. I have an Easy Pass up there as well, which looks ungodly. So let's talk about my plan here. So I want the camera mounted behind the rear view mirror right here. But the cigarette light adapter is right here. And I like to be able to pull it and disconnect it, meaning I'm not going to want to run my cable all that way. I particularly don't want it down near my feet. So I'm going to have to bring the cable through here. This is probably where I'm going to have one of those windshield cable ties. And I'm hoping to tuck the cable very nicely up here. And if it's tucked, it doesn't need to be that secure, because if the camera falls, it will hang on that. Then I'm hoping to follow this path down. And then, I might actually go behind this, cut in through here, and then I'll probably go through the weather stripping actually right here. And then I'll follow this path all the way down And then right here where this plastic is, I'll probably tuck that up and start going under. That will lift up pretty easily, it looks like. And then I'll have to do some cable ties up here. This plastic right here will fit right underneath. And then that gets me where I need to be. So that's going to be my game plan. Once I get back here, any excess cable I have, I'll twist tie real tight and hide it up underneath of there. So that's going to be the game plan of how I plan to do it. Some people, I believe, I have not opened this, but I think there's fuses and whatnot back here. Some people wired into here. Again, I'm not messing with any of that. I don't want anybody to question me if there's a warranty issue, because I suspect with hybrids, I'm bound to have some electrical issues. Why this thing is, it's a 10-year, 150,000 mile warranty. I just don't want any headaches. Let's unpackage the camera. So you can see just how small this little camera is. And I think it's fantastic from a size perspective, because you're not gonna, I'm gonna put it probably right there. You know, it's just so small. It's not gonna be too big. I mean, the Easy Pass, it's so much bigger than the Easy Pass. So that gives you an idea just how small the Garmin Mini 2 is. I'll put it on this putty knife here so you can see, and you can see relative to my hand, the size of it. And it looks like we have some instructions in here, and then the actual cable. They give you a few different cables, I'm told. And you have this, it looks like another mount for it. I guess if it breaks, it looks like you have a short cable. Then it looks like you have a long cable. And then you have a cigarette light adapter. And then you have your instruction manuals in here. That is everything in the box. You can see just how small that micro SD card is. So if you're doing it outside like me, which you probably are, if it's in a dark garage, you don't want to drop it, and then it just pops into the side there. It only goes in one way, and you just pop it down. Probably gonna need two hands for this, but you can see where it goes in there. And then it just pops in. And then that's 256 gigabyte, which blows my mind, because I remember when you used to be happy with 1.5 megabytes on a floppy disk. And we're gonna mount it. Okay, so I made sure the line would be long enough, and I have it plugged in. And where I intend to mount it is right here, basically. So when you're driving, you know, you're not gonna see it. It's right there nested behind the rear view mirror. And I'm gonna do some fanciness. Probably put the cable this way actually for now. I'm gonna have to run the cable up over the mirror. I might zip tie real tight there even. But that's effectively where it's gonna go. And you can see what I'm saying. If I wanted to power down and it was hardwired in, it would be hard to reach up and pull this out, because it's gonna be so close to that. So I still could, but if I was driving and I wanted to just disconnect it for whatever reason under the sun, I wouldn't be able to do it quickly. We're down here, pull the power down, I'm good to go. I've cleaned it. I just used some Windex. I let it dry, and then you pull this back and you stick it on. Okay, you can see I have it stuck on. This is not a suction cup, which is super nice. So the heat shouldn't really mess with it, like I mentioned. And then you can see when I put my mirror back, let me adjust it so I can actually, you're not going to even see the camera when you're driving. And then that's how it's going to look right there. A little fingerprint there. Get that off. And then let's take a peek from the outside just to give you an idea of what it looks like on the Ford Maverick from the outside. I mean, you can't even see it hardly. That Easy Pass, I despise how that looks. I wish it wasn't white. Maybe I'll paint it. This blends right in because it's right behind the rear view mirror, which is black. It's like you don't even know it's there. So let me get to work running this cable. I'm gonna see how lucky I get if I can pop it behind the headliner here. And you can see I'm gonna have to go a route like that because I want it to be really tight here. Maybe I can get it behind this plastic. Let me experiment. So I'm getting pretty lucky here. I'm able to put this underneath and bend this back just enough to hide that cable. So I'm gonna be able to run that cable under the plastic up until I get to the headliner, at which point I might be able to tuck it behind and I won't have to use any of these guys, which would be most ideal. If I have to use one of these, it will be up here, but I think I'm gonna get lucky with this. Now again, if you have an upgraded Maverick that has a power rear view mirror, they make like an adapter to power it off of that, but again, I don't, and I've already explained to you why I'm doing it like this. Plastic putty knife, $1.30, I think. Won't scratch anything, won't mark anything. This is great. Once I get to the top, you can see it's just going right in. I'll bend it out a little bit there, but you can't even see that cable now because it is completely behind the plastic. Put it behind, flex it, and then work it in, work it up. It's gonna be the same down here, same up there. So when you work the putty knife in, put it in here and then kind of slide it over. And that should give you enough to hopefully pull this down. And then as you're pulling this, pop the cable in and then keep the putty knife in and go. You don't have to worry about the headliner coming down or anything like that. It's very secure up there. You're just trying to get just enough lip to tuck that in behind. Slide it in, slide it down, and then pull it to create that gap. And then when you pull it, tuck the cable up under. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit of how I'm doing this. I think the camera is positioned pretty good. But basically when I put this under, you kind of got to force it just a little bit, but then you can pull it back and you see how I'm able to just slide the cable up in there and it stays because once the headliner goes back, it's tucked up there enough. So that's basically the process. And then when you get to this plastic here, I believe I'm going to be able to kind of do the same. Now when you're doing this, you're going to want to use clean tools because you're touching some of your headliner and lighter plastic trim, so that just tucks right in there. But I want my cable to follow this way because I want it to be able to come down here. So I got to figure out, can I easily, and it no doubt looks like I can, and this is brand new. I can't emphasize enough, don't use some grimy screwdriver because then you're going to get a stain. But I can tuck that just enough, go a little bit more to get that behind. And I just put it behind the corner, pull it back a little bit more, and you can see how I'm able to snake this cable so easily in here. So this is actually turning out to be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than I anticipated. Camera goes up under. I'm debating on putting a very small zip tie right here just in case it falls. I don't want to risk it popping out from the plastic here. I doubt it will though. Goes up under. Can't see anything. I mean, you can see nothing, as if a cable was never there. Pop this back, it goes under. That got me to here. Well, I'm going to be able to run it all the way down. And then I can follow this behind this plastic to get inside the vehicle. Well, I shouldn't say inside. It's inside the vehicle the whole time. to move farther towards the cigarette adapter, because none of this is on the exterior. Just to be very clear, it's going back here. So let me go ahead and run that cable. It's going to be the same process I did. See how I'm getting just a little bit of bite there. You can see how it spreads it out just enough. Go right down. Have it all the way down. Can't even tell it's in there. Right here, pop this up, tuck it under, move this, tuck it under, pull it out, it will stay in there. Okay, so far I've used no adhesive hooks, zip ties. It's all completely secured. It runs down very smooth, very easy to get under the plastic there. But let's talk about the underneath. Put this seat all the way back, that way I can actually see what I'm doing. So the underneath, looks like you have fuse panels right here. This is what people, I guess, were putting the hard wiring it in. So you're not going to want to block that fuse panel area, but it looks like you can go up over it pretty easily. And then I'm probably going to want to go under the carpet here. So what I think I'm going to do is bring it through the back and maybe zip tie it up underneath, and then bring it in under this plastic, which is super easy. And then it's going to have to come up. Actually, I'm going to want to come through this plastic. Yeah, I'm going to want to come up here, because then it would be super clean with no cable right here. So this is where you might have to use some of the zip ties. This is where you might get lazy and just run it under the floor mat. I'm not going to do neither. You can see a mess of cables. It's always alarming though, man. Look at all those exposed cables in this Maverick. And field mice would probably love it. I should put some Grandpa Gus in there with the winter coming, because all I see right there is mice eating them at some point. That's a really shoddy job, but whatever. So that just means running that one cable is going to be that big of a deal. And I'm going to tuck it up under this plastic, just like that. So you can see how it's basically just going to be with all of those other cables. And then I'll probably just want to bring it up and hook it in, or zip tie it, or something somewhere back here 1 or 2 times until I get it here and go up and under. But you want to make sure that once you're back here, you tie up your excess and probably shove it in here, because you don't want all of your excess to be right there. So let me see how I'm going to mount it back here. Whatever you do, don't cover up this, because that's your, it looks like your fuse box in here. So you don't want to cover that up, because if you need to get to your fuses, you don't want to be messing up the cables. Yeah, that's all of the fuses. So I'm going to go somehow behind all this mess. This is where people were hard wiring it. This is a great spot to put Grandpa Gus. Grandpa Gus, if you haven't seen it, watch my other video. It keeps mice away. But you can see back here, I'm going to be able to run it very easily right here and hide excess behind that. All right, one thing I want to mention, I'm not plugging this all the way in because I don't want the camera to come on, but position it how you want it. So that way you know that you have enough wire to get where you want it to go. So I position this exactly where I want it. The wire would just very easily go up in there, underneath. And then back here, you just tuck it, and then you see my excess. This is all you're going to have left of the 13 feet. And I'm going to just tuck this behind here, like so. And I'm just going to take this extra. I'm not going to even zip tie it. I'm just going to keep it sitting right underneath with all the other wires. I'm just gonna tuck it right there at the bottom. And when this cover goes back on, it's gonna hold everything. No zip ties have been used. I'm not gonna do any zip ties just in case there's some maintenance that I do on this vehicle under here. You can just pull up the excess and it's not gonna be in anybody's way. So there you have the wire. Some people may not like this, I get it. You could hardwire it, do whatever. I'm sick of talking about that, but I can just unplug it and set it there when I don't want it powered up. Wire is hidden beautifully. You can see what I mean when I tuck that box back in. All the wires with all of those wires goes up underneath, hidden. Beautiful install here. I'm very happy. You could probably do this install following the procedure I mentioned. I know this video is long, but I did a lot of gapping to kind of explain it. 20 minutes. Next step, power the camera up, hook it up to your phone. Let's do that. Feels good to be in the car. It is, we were thinking about Halloween and fall, and it's like 100 degrees this week. So you can see there it is up here. Talks about hiding it and all that stuff off, which we did. Format the SD card. Press and hold the button for 8 seconds. So let's plug this in. It's plugged in. And then it said hold this for 8 seconds. Let's see what button to hold. Looks like this button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it said that it looks like you want them to turn green. All right, I guess that is formatted now. I think the next step is to download the app. So the app's installed. You're gonna wanna select it for the dash cam. It's gonna ask you a bunch of questions. Now it seems like it's hold down the save button on your dash menu until the LED flashes blue. What is the save button? This button. It's flashing blue. Connecting to Dashcam Mini 2. Pair and connect. Allow access. Pair. So far pretty easy. Hopefully it connects. Getting device information. Pairing with Dashcam Mini 2. But you can see if I wanted to power it down, like it would be all in the way there. So I'm going to go ahead and say pair again for whatever reason. Now I have to sign in. So I'm going to make an account. Once I make an account, I'll get cranking here and show you what's next. So then it should connect to your Wi-Fi. So I suspect once you get home and park or something, it will start uploading videos. So I guess you got to think about that if you park or if you're near an area. I park behind my garage, which has good Wi-Fi signal, but it will probably take a minute or so to upload. So occasionally it's going to do an upload, I guess. DC Mini 2 now automatically connect to your residence. You can set up additional Wi-Fi connections. The additional Wi-Fi connection I'll set up is probably pairing it to my cell phone. So I'm going to enable background location. I'm going to let it do that. So let me keep going through here and set this up. So this thing's pretty cool. It has some neat features. Like you can say, okay, Garmin, take a picture. And then it takes a picture. So I guess, you know, if you want to capture something, and then you can go and like see the pictures that it took, which I think is pretty darn cool. And this would give you an idea. I'm sitting in sun here, so there's a little bit of a glare, but then it connects and it will show you the picture that it took, and then presumably this is all going to automatically upload. And then the other settings I can do is saving videos. Let's go to live view or see what that looks like. vault. Recording video, audio. Audio recording is off. I don't know, should I have that on? We'll go ahead and turn it on. I don't see any reason why not to. And then you go to settings here and all this other stuff. Medium sensitivity, the resolutions, 1080p, camera setup. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot to do there. And I think that's it. So there you have it. Okay, it's Jason. I'm going back out to the Ford Maverick. Earlier in the video, you may have noted, I said, hey, watch to the end. There's a slight modification. Plugging it into the cigarette light adapter. When I left the Maverick, I noticed that the camera was still on. I was under the assumption and impression, based on other vehicles, when I cut it off, the cigarette light adapter would go off. It has been an hour. I'm timing it. Well, I guess 54 minutes. And it is still flashing and recording. You can see the red light. So that means I'm gonna have to change how I have this plugged in. Now, I'm not against the idea of it recording when I park for a little bit, but I am against the idea of it running for so long. Like if I leave for a few days and this thing is still recording. What I'm told is these will not stay running. So what I want to happen is when I cut the car off, it only runs a few minutes or it immediately shuts off. So I'm going to pull the power here and you can see this light is currently red, but when I pull the power, it's going to finish recording and then cut off. That's what I really wanted to happen. I'm told if I use these, that is the case. So I left enough slack where I could just kind of pull just a little bit more through. So this is a very simple change. I guess it's good that I didn't zip tie anything. And I can just plug it in here. And it seems pretty nice and tight still, obviously. And then it's on. But when I cut the car off, it is going to cut off, which that is the functionality I wanted. Get out of the car, do your thing, come back, turn it on. Powers up. Yeah, that's what I need to happen. So I'm gonna, instead of using the cigarette light adapter, I'll keep this little 2-port thing plugged in here. I'm just using this because the one above it is what I use for my cell phone. Now keep in mind, for Android Auto, you're going to need to use the USB ports. I'm using the USB-C port for my cell phone, which goes to a standard USB-C end. So if you have to hook it up like I just mentioned, you know, just get you a USB-C cable if you have a USB-C phone, like an Android, and it will still work okay with Android Auto. But, you know, if you don't want it running, definitely don't use that cigarette adapter. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the other side and just show you the cables again real quick. So overall, I like this little camera. I think the install was pretty sleek and pretty easy. I like the, okay Garmin, take a picture. I like those features because how often are you just parked and see something and you want to take a picture? The app seems pretty darn easy. I like that it has audio recording. My other one did not. And it's a 256 gigabyte memory card. So once it hits that, it would just start overwriting, but presumably I'll get back to my house and park and it would do some uploading because, you know, I guess you want to save some of the videos that it might record. But even if you don't ever connect it to Wi-Fi, if you get in an accident or something, you're going to have the video recording, right? 256 gigabytes is a lot. So I hope you found this somewhat helpful. I know there's boatloads of videos on webcam or dash cam installs. This is specific to a Ford Maverick XL Hybrid and doing it a little bit of the easier way, but it turned out much better than I probably sounded like at the beginning when I said, oh, I don't care about aesthetics. At the end of the day, you can see nothing. Give me a subscribe on YouTube. It means a lot to me. Thanks for watching.